I just got back from a 7-day yoga retreat in the beautiful Puerto Vallarta, Mexico at the wonderful Haramara Retreat Center. I'm going to share with you today 5 things that I kind of brought back with me and learned about healing and self-love. So if you're someone who has been on this healing and self-love journey, or you're needing some inspiration around it, I have been on this journey for over a decade, and I want to share with you some of the things that were really meaningful from that yoga retreat experience. And the first thing is that it's really, really key to invest in your healing and your growth and your journey, and you'll know when is the right time to do so. So a lot of times we can argue with ourselves about the fact, it's kind of a large investment for me. I don't have enough money. It's not the right time. It's too far. Whatever your kind of logic might be about talking yourself out of investing in yourself, however that might be, whether it's a retreat, whether it's hiring a guide or a mentor, whether it's trying a new service or modality that you think will be good for your own healing and growth, you will always try to talk yourself out of it. I was doing the same. I was like, this isn't really coming at a good time financially for me, but I had this knowing inside of myself that I was like, yes, this is actually the right thing to do because I feel really called to it. The description of the retreat was rewild, so it was a huge emphasis on connecting with nature, restoring that connection with yourself, which I talk about all the time and I work with people on, is that reconnection to who you are at your core, and trying to take all of the external things out of the equation and just having time to kind of rejuvenate and rest. And so I just kind of knew, okay, even though this isn't the best time financially for me, there probably will never be a best time. So I'll just figure out a way, to make this happen. And so I did. And so that's kind of the first thing that I wanted to, number one, that I wanted to share today is you'll know when it's time to invest in yourself. And I'm inviting you to consider being courageous and doing whatever you need to do to make something happen for yourself. I think especially as women, I'm not personally a mother, but I know a lot of women who are, you tend to put yourself last in the priority list of being taken care of and taking care of others. So how can you kind of raise yourself up higher on those notches to really dedicate some time, prioritize yourself, your healing, because that is going to just make you a better version of yourself, and it's going to allow you to show up for your life differently and in a much better way. So yeah, you'll know when you know, I think this is right for me. This feels like something I need. I really wish I could do it, but that's also a clue as to this is something that would really benefit you. And how can you find a way to make this work? In general, I decided, okay, I'm going to make this investment and actually go. But then when I was there are also some opportunities to do some really special experiences. Some of them were bodywork sessions, some of them were ceremonies and rituals, and I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna let myself invest in these things because I'm investing in myself. I'm investing money, energy, and also showing myself that I'm a priority and that I believe that I can elevate myself by, exposing myself to these new things. So one of the really cool things that I have been sharing with people ever since I got back was some of the services that I had there. And I hadn't even heard of them before. So one of them was called a Chinese belly massage, and it's Qi Nei Tsang. And essentially I'm not an expert in this, so please don't think that I am, a trained person in this. I just kind of relaying what I experienced. There were lots and lots of really deep trigger points that were held around kind of the abdomen area, and we carry a lot of emotion in that area of our bodies. So when you're able to deeply massage that area, you're able to release. And I can tell you it paid off a million times, because not only did I have this tremendous physical release, it was painful. It was not an enjoyable, relaxation massage. There were a lot of painful points. which are just showing me that my body is releasing a lot of tension. But it was also an immense emotional release for me. I mean, I was like sobbing, on the table, and some other of the ladies who had this treatment were expressing similar things. So yeah, it was really just enabling me to open up, let go. And while it was happening in my head, I was like, this is one of the most intense experiences I've ever had. And I really felt like a spiritual connection as well. Granted, my practitioner was really, really talented, and he was super tapped in. I mean, he was humming and chanting and even sang me this beautiful song in another language, like right when we started. So yeah, that was one of the things that I tried and invested in, and it paid off tenfold. It was really, really, really special and unique. The second thing that I experienced that was really special was the Temescal ritual. And that's otherwise, maybe you've heard it known as a Mexican sweat lodge. And our guide kind of explained it as this purification process. And so it was this 2-hour ceremony where we went through 4 different rounds of being in this sweat lodge, which is essentially just really, really, really hot and steamy hut, I guess you could say. And every round we would kind of go around, say intentions, prayers, chant, sing, and really give gratitude for each other, for the 4 elements. It was incredibly unbearable at some points. Like, I didn't think I was going to make it because of the heat. You're in this, dark hut with other people, and it's like so steamy and hot. It's really hard to breathe. But when we were done and we came out, she explained it as this purification process. You're physically purifying yourself mentally and emotionally, and you're offering up your intentions to, the universe, spirit, whatever you want to call it, to even to nature. And that was really, really important for me because it was kind of a symbol of a rebirth. Anytime we're going through any type of transition, challenge, uncertainty, pain, in order to have a transformation, which is the whole idea behind alchemy, when I say alchemize your love life, I mean, how can you transform maybe your pain that you've been through, maybe a breakup, a divorce, lost your job, maybe you're just in a new phase of life. How can we take this challenge, this transition, and let go of some things so that we can open up and make room for the new? So it's kind of like the purification piece, the purge piece, right? We were physically sweating so much that I definitely had that element of physical purging. But it's also the emotional piece of like pushing through it, pushing past the point where you think you want to give up and quit, and knowing that you came out the other side transformed in some way. There was some kind of a rebirth that you were able to have. And that's because you were able to let go maybe of the fear of doing the process, whatever that is. In my case, it was doing this ceremony. And so with transformation, sometimes letting go can be really hard. And I have been working with people now for the past 5 years about healing their hearts. I call myself a breakup and relationship coach. And so sometimes people will say, I know people keep giving me the advice that I should just let my ex go. I should just move on. But I understand that they're not ready to do that. And I've been in that situation too. You're just not at the point where you're able to do that. And so in my life, I have asked myself, and I asked the people I work with, what is something that you can do to just loosen your grip on the thought, the idea, the emotion, the hope that you're holding on to? What can you do to just not make that grip so tight? Just slowly begin to loosen it, right? You don't have to just let it go completely. You'll get there. But the more you can kind of make that a practice, how can I just slowly loosen my grip in order to let go and make room for new, make room for something different? That is going to help you with transformation. And so these experiences for me were very supportive for letting go, purging, purification, and having this transformation so that I could come out reborn. I was looking for clarity. I was also going through some personal grieving. And so these processes really helped me with that. Hey, if you are enjoying this content, please like and subscribe to the channel. And also, I invite you to check out my Love Alchemy membership. It is an exciting membership where you get to alchemize your Love 3 life. So, how can you better love yourself, love your relationships, and love your life? In Love Alchemy, I teach you how to transform your challenges and your struggles into opportunities so that you can make progress, move forward, restore your innate vibrance, and really wake up excited for each day. In the membership, you will find exploration exercises, actual reflection exercises like homework that you can do on your own, one-on-one work with me so that we can kind of hash through the realizations from those exercises, and tangible action steps week after week that you can implement in real time to help you make life-changing shifts rather than just show up week after week and talk about your problems. This is really an actionable, tangible way for you to be able to make a lot of change in your life in a short amount of time, while also having the space to process, be vulnerable, be heard and seen, and really just to feel supported and connected. If you want to learn more about the Love Alchemy membership, there is a wait list. So we start off with a relationship assessment call. And when I say relationship, I mean the relationship to yourself, to other relationships, and to life. We kind of target what your main challenges are, basically your point A, your struggles, where you want to get to, your point B, and we talk about what some of your next steps can be to get there, and if the membership would be aligned for you and you aligned for it. So you can find that link in the description, and I really look forward to chatting with you. So number one was just even making that step to invest in yourself. Number two is, how can we kind of purge and restore our connection with ourselves so that we can have transformation. The third thing is, basics are key. So I've been learning for many years now the importance of breath, especially through the practice of yoga. There's a lot of focus on that. And initially I used to get really annoyed, and sometimes I still do actually. I get annoyed thinking that like, oh, breath is the answer to everything, because it's so simple and so basic, but it truly is, because breath has the opportunity for your nervous system to calm down, to come out of a stress response and actually experience some relaxation, to come back down to balance. We as humans are not meant to be in our heightened state of stress, in a stress response for a long period of time. We're meant to experience stress and then come back down to balance. Unfortunately, most of us don't ever really get the chance to do that. So breathing is a huge way of doing that. So I'm talking about some of the basic things that we did over the course of the week every single day. We breathed a lot, okay? We took deep breaths. Our facilitators were leading that. We connected with ourselves through other basic things like movement, okay? The movement of yoga. You're connecting with your body kinesthetically. You are connecting with the 4 elements: earth, air, fire, and wind. The great spirit, whatever's bigger than us, right? You're surrounded by nature, and there's just this basic level of support that when you can really tap in and notice it, you're like, wow, I do have this support all around me. I do have the earth supporting my body as I, lay in the final pose of yoga, which is the resting pose of Shavasana. The air is supporting me as it goes in and out of my lungs. The water is supporting me through hydrating me and keeping everything flowing and circulating. The fire is supporting me through physical, providing heat and also being able to cook food, but also the fire in myself. I spent a lot of time thinking of the fire in my belly. It's like, how can I reignite that spark that's within me? That is the fire, that is the essence, that is the vibrance, the life force within you. So I spent this, we all spent every day, 7 days of connecting with these 4 earth elements, and then also the greater kind of essence that we all possess, but then also we find in nature. And so it was connecting us with our wild, right? Again, the name of that retreat was Rewild. And so again, basics are key. And especially for women, connecting with these things and your body and movement and breathing and feeling this connection with other people, this is also getting you back in touch with your feminine energy, which is playful, fun, flowy, nurturing. I mean, one of the biggest gifts we can give ourselves is nurture. How can we take care of ourselves or allow ourselves to be taken care of, since we're usually the ones giving the care, giving the empathy, giving the support. So allowing that reciprocity to really be present every single day. We had these beautiful, absolutely beautiful, gorgeous, so delicious 3-course lunches and dinners every single day, made with pure, beautiful ingredients, local, fresh, and ready to order breakfast. So even just that idea of slowing down, we're back to basics, right? Food, nourishing ourselves. We spent maybe an hour and a half at every meal rather than just rushing through and going on to do an activity. No, we sat, we talked, we slowly ate our food, and we really, really enjoyed it. So back to the basics are such a great way that you can self-care, nourish yourself, and just take care of the basics in your life. All right. So the fourth thing that I was reminded of while I was at the retreat and we practiced every day was connection to others, so that we would be able to be vulnerable and feel supported while also supporting each other. So we spent a lot of time in like sister circles, sharing about our experiences, sharing maybe some of the challenges that we were there to overcome, sharing our wins, and also sharing our support for each other. There is something to be said about having and sharing experiences with people who are in similar situations, where you can just truly feel seen, heard, and understood and accepted for exactly where you are. You're at your point A, you may be trying to get to a point B, but there can be a level of acceptance for where you are in your journey. That can be just so releasing in itself. Now, I know for my own life, I've had a lot of experience with this, of being frustrated with myself. You know, in the past, it was in certain relationships. I was very frustrated that, you know, I wasn't farther along, or I kept going back to the same situation. I've been frustrated in my business, you know, as an entrepreneur, of like, why am I not farther? So there's so much that can come from just accepting where you are right now. And, you know, knowing that you have those goals and desires and dreams and aspirations, and you are getting there, you are making progress. And sometimes just slowing down and being able to be with yourself, with where you are right now, is actually progress forward. It's actually helping you take your next step forward. So that was also something that I was reminded of through the connection that, you know, we were doing yoga practices together morning and evening. We were eating meals together, sharing. We were, you know, having our own individual services, but then being able to share about our experience after. So this connection is really important on the journey to healing and self-love. And as a breakup and relationship coach, I also used to run this support group, and people would tell me every week, week after week, you know, I get so much value just from being able to share what I'm going through and have other people here listening, and also hear other people's stories. It just helps you feel better to know that you're not alone. Everyone is going through things, and you're not alone, even though it feels like it. So the fifth thing that I was reminded of while I was on this retreat was to go with an open mind and an open heart, and not have some huge expectation. I think it could have been really easy for me to go with an expectation that I was going to have this grand transformation, and then when I came back, everything in my life was going to be totally different and, you know, perfect. So I was really, really intentional before I went that I didn't have high expectations. I was just going to go with an open mind and open heart to see what would unfold. However, I did go with intentions. So I didn't just go like for a vacation getaway, which, you know, if that's what you need, then that's your intention. But I went with an intention of just making sure that I was going to be really present with myself, noticing how I was feeling throughout the whole process. I went with the intention to connect with nature, and I'm not like a huge nature person. Like I am not a hiker. I don't spend a ton of time out in nature. You know, I'm definitely, if I had to go camping, I'd probably cry. Like I would need to be glamping. So, you know, for me to have that intention was kind of a big deal for me. It was like, all right, I'm going to really, really try to have this reverence for the beauty that's around me. And so the intention was also to gain some clarity around some decisions I was trying to make, and also just really have this sense of love and acceptance and empathy for myself in where I am in my point A, and I know I'm trying to get to a point B. So yeah, the no expectations, the being present with other people, being present with my experiences. And then I was also really conscious about how can I bring some of these things back with me into my everyday life. We all kind of talked about that, of like, how can this be more than just a, you know, week-long experience and then we go back to our real lives and it's like, whoo, everything's out the window, right? Because you get so busy and you get so caught up and stress takes over. And so some of the things that I've brought back are some physical, tangible practices that we used, our yoga instructors, led us through in the practices. One of which is involving my senses a lot more and also slowing down. So this is also something that can get you into your feminine energy, which can help you relax and help your nervous system come back down to balance. But our yoga teachers were using things that incorporated our senses. So even the beautiful gift of this rose oil, our yoga teacher Joe gifted us with this rose oil, and just as a scent to, you know, put on your wrists, maybe even on your neck, maybe even rub it in your hands and just take a beautiful scent. It can bring you into a state. So if we think about transformation, right, a lot of it has to do with what state that you're in. Maybe you're going from a state of stress or a state of sadness or a state of anxiety, and you want to just bring yourself into a different state. Using your senses can help you do that. And so smell is a huge one. So I've been using this rose oil, and it just reminds me to pay attention to the beauty. I mean, it smells so good. So it's to pay attention to the beauty that's around me and also the beauty in myself, the physical beauty in myself, but also the kind of beingness, the beauty of my beingness. Another thing that I've been using since I got back are incense. She would light incense during our yoga practice, again, to really incorporate the senses, the body. We spend so much time in our heads and our logical minds trying to figure things out, trying to, push through challenges. And really what we need to do is to just let go of the mind and get back into our bodies. And so I know that I've done this a ton on my healing journey, on my growth journey, and I also help the people I work with do this too. We need to incorporate both our minds and our bodies in this whole process. And so again, smell, burning these incense, it just adds a richness, an extra layer to a physical practice of yoga, to maybe a practice of meditation or, gratitude or journaling. Another thing that I brought back were these beautiful dried flowers. The actual location was so beautiful and sacred land that I now kind of, when I do my morning meditations, I set up this little, space where I have my incense burning, my dried flowers, my rose oil, and then a gem that I had brought with me. And it almost acts as this like little sacred altar. It's like, how can I be really intentional about this practice and not just have it be like a habit that I'm just falling into every morning just to do? How can I really make it special and tap in? So those are just some of the things that I've been doing, and also trying to stay really present in slowing down with whatever I'm doing. You know, when I eat my meals, it's like, okay, how can I actually taste all the flavors versus, you know, eating while I'm working? And I still do those things, but when you can catch yourself, it can really be helpful. So there's so much that I could talk about about this 7-day yoga retreat. I think that experiences like this, you know, I'm not sitting here telling you everyone should go on a yoga retreat. Like, maybe it's your thing, maybe it's not, but I wanted to share an experience. Like, if you are having a pull or a desire to try something out that you think could benefit you in some way, maybe it will help you relax. Maybe it will help you have fun. Maybe you need to laugh more in your life right now. Maybe it will help you gain clarity. Maybe you're thinking about, you know, finding a mentor or a guide to help you through a hard time in your life. That's another kind of component that I found really helpful on the yoga retreat, was that we had these guides with us the entire time. You know, everything I did, I had alone time as well, but the 2 yoga facilitators were our guides through the week. And it's okay to do things on your own, and I you know, encourage that all the time. Yes, be independent, do things on your own. And at the same time, sometimes a guide or a mentor can really help you through a process. Again, it's that feeling of not being alone, it's a feeling of accountability, it's a feeling of connection. So that was a huge piece of it as well. Okay, so if you have any comments, I would love to know. You know, people might ask me like, oh, what incense are you using? I just ordered these off of Amazon, and I try to do my best research around like what would not be toxic and what would be, you know, sustainable and made with, you know, real ingredients versus just like a chemical fragrance. I don't know if I did a good job with that. So if you use an incense that you know, has these things, then please feel free to add in the comments. If you have a certain kind of oil that you love to put on your body, or maybe like a recipe for creating certain oils, I know that Jo made these herself. So yeah, share in the comments, like if we can all learn from each other some of our practices that we do, or some things that we know that will enhance our lives and our experiences, and I would love to hear about it. And if you have any questions about more about the retreat that I did, or how I, have kind of alchemized my love L3 life, how I've loved myself more, how I love my relationships more, how I love my life more, and how I help other people alchemize their love lives as well. And when I say love, I mean the L3. I love to talk about this stuff. So it's like, it lights me up, it sparks me up. This is what I really feel like I'm here for. So put it in the comments, and I would love to do another video about it, or to, chat with you one-on-one. So tune in next time, and I hope to see you soon. Bye-bye.